Okay guys, on this one I'm going to show you how I like to build my dragon weights. Now normally I get my dragon weights from BCAP products or BCAP boards and weights. So if you want stuff that's already built and you don't want the hassle of building stuff and getting the things to do it with, go to BCAP products and get your dragon weights and your planer boards. So keep up with us and I'm going to show you how I build my dragon weights, and especially at this time of year, wintertime. I put my boat up. I'm not fishing anymore here in this area of Ohio because it gets cold, lakes start to freeze over and so on. So my winter projects is to find stuff to do. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you how to build some my way, and I'm gonna tell you why I build them the way that I build them and why I like using the set ounces that I use. And I'll tell you that as we're building them. But first I want to show you how I have this set up, which is it's just your main line with a sinker slide. My dragon weight hooks right to it with just an easy clip, and it goes to your swivel to your leader with a 3-inch peg float with whatever hook you choose to put on there. These here I've balanced out to be perfect with the speed that I drag my baits at with the 3-inch float. And what happens is it just bumps the bottom, keeps it all natural. And I want it to be as natural as possible instead of just buried to the bottom and dragging across. So 2 ounce seems to be perfect with this 3-inch peg float and whatever leader line you choose. I choose to run a pretty long leader line most of the time. So most people don't have a scale, so I'm going to save you the time of having to buy a scale and show you what length to cut everything at. That will determine your ballpark weight to where you're not going, how much does that weigh? So I'm going to give you all the measurements to where you know where you're at for this size and weight. So I'll show you the things that you'll need. You'll need like these bell weights, like this. These are going to be 3/16 ounce. 3/16 ounce. Okay. And the next thing you'll need is size 3, just a split shot, size 3. Whatever size that would be. I mean, as far as diameter, I don't know. But it's a size 3. But anyhow, so those are the 2 things that you'll need for your top and your bottom. Then, now this is just for 2 ounces because I use 2 ounces like I showed you earlier. I use 2 ounces to equal out what I want it to be and how I want it to ride the bottom, which is this right here. I necessarily don't need it to float up, to have floats in here, because the float is actually going to be on my leader anyway, which the way I got it set up just barely holds the ground. And now I want to point out too, guys, that this is just for a lake with no current. Now if you're pulling in a river with current, now you're totally changing the concept, so you have to come up with something different. But for you lake guys that are pulling on the lake or dragging baits on the lake, this is going to work. If you're running at 0.5 to 0.7 miles per hour, this works perfect with that 3-inch peg float. It's enough float to hold this up, you know what I mean, to where it's going across the bottom. It's not dragging flat like this. That's not what you want. If it's dragging flat like this, then you need to figure something out. But the speed And the peg float being 3 inches, and this weight and the size of your bait too can make a difference. Because if you got a really big bait on there, what's going to happen is it's going to pick up more, maybe drag to it, start pulling this over, or maybe even up. So you want to keep eye on that too. Now, pulling for channel cats and stuff like we do on these lakes, you know, your average size bait is going to be, you know, this big or whatever, you know, 2x2 or something like that. So I've never had a problem with it. So I wanted to show you how to put these together real quick. And it's simple. It may not be the prettiest thing, but I like again, I'm gonna go back. I like yellow, so the shrink wrap here is yellow, and that's what I ordered. Now it's got a little bit of gaps in it. That's just where it butts together. You know, some of it could be me, whatever, but I'm gonna show you how to do it here. So the shrink wrap that I use is a 3/8 diameter. It's a 3/8 diameter. You can get it right off Amazon, as you can see. You should see it come up. It's fairly cheap for 10 foot. So what we're gonna do is cut this at 8.5 inches. Now I like to keep a pencil just so I can mark this off. Lay that in. You can lay it however, whatever works for you. So 8.5 inches, and I'll put just enough mark on there for me to see. Then just take your razor or scissors or however you want to cut this stuff. And there's 8.5 inches right there. How we're going to start this out is we're just going to take our little bell sinker right here. We get this the gap open. Take our little bell sinker, stick it right down in there, and you want to get it past the lip of that, about to where it comes just above the lead. Shove it down in there, about to where it comes just above the lead, because you want that to close up on it. You'll figure it out, something like that. Then what I like to do, just to start off with, is I like to take a lighter and just kind of let it start closing up on it real quick on that bell sinker. And this is just going to be just to hold it, so it ain't got to be perfect. If you see how I did that, because we're going to go back over it anyway. See how that closed up around it? Just enough to where we can work with it. That's all you're worried about. Your Craftsman BBs, they're like $4, $4.5, $5 or whatever. But it does plenty. And what we want to do is open this up enough. Now you just got to take your time with this, guys. Can't rush through it. And start filling this up. It's not that hard, just let it go a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. You might have to work them down in there. Just kind of open it up and let it drop down. Just keep working it down there and let it drop down. And what I've found is, I like to take a pencil. See that eraser? About up to midways of where the metal is. I like to fill it up until it comes about there, but we got a little ways to go yet. Just a little bit, not much. Remember, sometimes it don't take but 3 or 4 or 5 feet BBs to change the depth of that. But what I like to do is work on this and really pack it. And that's, see what I'm talking about right there? Now I might need 1 or 2 other BBs in there, but the weight's gonna come out pretty good. Just kind of roll it around, get everything in there. So I'm rolling it, just kind of get everything to drop down and tighten up. Like I said, guys, this is just for 2 ounces. And I started doing it this way because I played with sinkers and getting the right weight to adjust to how I like to pull my baits according to the peg float, how the peg float pulls it up. And 2 ounces for me with that 3-inch peg float just works perfect. At, you know, in between that half a mile an hour and, you know, 0.7, 0.5, 0.7. So that works perfect for me. And it looks like we'll need just a few more there. And like I said, to me, I think the key is to have your stuff set up to where it's just barely coming across the floor of the lake, or the bottom of, I gotta take a couple of these BBs out, but where it's just coming across the floor of that lake, where it's not burying down and dragging and all that stuff. It's just simple. Now I'm sure you can go out, buy whatever you need. What I wanted to do is I'm more or less just trying to show you, and you can make these any weight you want. If you want them 3 ounces, just make the tube longer, or you can get 1/2-inch tube like this. This here is 1/2-inch tube, so maybe we'll talk about that here in a minute. But I like the 3/8 tube. I like the length of it. I like how it rides. So anyhow, with your split shot, that little split shot that I showed you, the size 3, you're going to want to put that in last. And you want to have enough room in there. This is important. You want to have enough room in there to where when you put that in, your shrink wrap, once it starts to shrink down some, will go kind of lap over top of it. And that'll hold it in. See, I might have 1 extra BB in there that I don't need. So let me push that out. Let me take 1 BB out of there. Oh, that's 2 or 3. Well, that's all right though. Now you see, can you see that down in there? It's just enough. It's almost about an eraser. And that'll give you just enough to overlap. So then what I'll do, because I packed all these down there the best I can, that I feel makes sense anyway. So what I'll do is I'll just close this up a little bit so it don't fall out as I'm handling it. Then that's pretty much almost kind of done. But here's the next thing I like to do. I got this heat gun here, and you can get this from Harbor Freight for 16, 15, 16 bucks or whatever. And start at your bottom. Once it starts going, you just chase it right up. You don't have to get this blasting hot. I'm gonna do half of that. You might be able to come up with a better system than me, but this is how I'm doing it. So I did about half of that, and I'm gonna flip it over and do the same thing. Just start walking it around and getting everything to tighten up. And there you have it. There you go. So that's all you need to do this with. Like I said, you get them little gap things in there or whatever, but we're not too much worried about that. So 2 ounces, guys. Now I'm gonna show you. Let's turn the scale on. Now I'm gonna bring this right over. That's 2.3, close enough. It ain't got to be perfect, but 2.3 this one turned out. That could be a matter of 4 BBs or something, but 2.3. Another thing, guys, you look at this and you say, well, that shrink wrap, how does it hold all that weight in there, when you cast it out? I've took and pulled on these, and you got to pretty much almost tear them up. You got to really, just be almost tearing them up. But the good thing about it is, even if you did get these hung up on something, this right here may break loose before everything else does, and you save the rest of your stuff and you just lose this. You just lose one of these. But these are so easy to make that you can make up as many as you want. The cost of it isn't that bad. After you get everything, you can make up quite a few. I've sat and made up quite a few. So I think the biggest thing is to it's just making what works for you, balancing out like I said, for us lake guys, for me being a lake guy, that's how I like to do it. 2 ounces with a 3-inch peg float between 0.5 and 0.7 miles per hour, dragging baits, seems to work perfect. It's just enough to just pop this across the ground. And you can see it when it hits the bottom. You can see your rod just kind of pop a little bit as it's hitting the ground. You know, it's not dragging deep into the ground, it's just climbing up and riding over stuff. So hopefully this helps you. If you want to buy dragging weights already done, go to BCAP Products or BCAP Boards and Weights. I'm used to calling them BCAP Products, but that's okay. If you want to buy dragging weights that's already set up, 2 ounces, 3 ounces, 4 ounces, whatever, some that have floats in them, go on BCAP Products and check them out. Over at BCAP Boards too, BCAP Boards and Weights, they do theirs a lot different. They don't do them like this. They use a higher quality stuff. They're put together really nice. These here are just cheaply made, but over at BCAP Products, they put their stuff together really nice. So, and like I said, they do it totally different. A lot more durable probably than what I have here. I'm just saying these here will work for you. But if you don't feel like making them, look them up. If you just want to make your own stuff, you know, cheap, being at home, like I said, making 2 ounce weights, you can make them a little bit longer, push it up to 3, or you can get half-inch tubing and make things a little heavier. You know, take them up to 3 ounces where they're not so long, whatever the case is, however you want to do it. But my point was with this video was to show you how I like to make my 2 ounce weights, because I've got it pretty much where I want it. I've got it configured to where I want it as far as lakes. No current lakes. It's just kind of still sitting water or whatever. There's nothing fighting against me. I'm pulling at the speed that I want, and it all works out in the end for me. So I've played and played with this to get it to where I want it to be. And 2 ounces just seems to be perfect for what I do. I know when I put it on there and I start pulling and I let it drop down and I start off pulling, I know what I got going on down bottom. But like I said, 8.5 inches of 3/8 shrink tube with everything that I showed you, put you in at 2 ounces. And if you don't have a scale, if you do it like I showed you, you will not have to worry about trying to weigh it. All you gotta do is just make them. My main thing was to show you this 2 ounce. I like the length of it. I like how it pulls. It's fairly flexible and it does what I want it to do. So anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. And like I said, I know there's 100 YouTube videos on how to make dragging weights, but my thing was to show you how I make mine and why I'm making the weight that I make them. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.